Guys, I think this may be our last DN video, so no puns. I'll save you from it. But we're gonna talk about our boy Ronnie Perkins today. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well, and I'm excited because we do have a very interesting player here today. Obviously, as you said, Ronnie Perkins, DN from Oklahoma. In terms of his background and statistics, obviously you can see, the sack production was consistent, 5, 6, 5.5. But it should be noted that he did only play 6 games this season due to a drug suspension, a marijuana suspension from last season that leaked into this year. So a lot of people are questioning his character. Mike and I, as we said in the Kylan Hill video, we don't judge guys' characters. We don't have access to the interviews, the medicals. We don't have access to that stuff. So we are basing our grades pretty much solely on film, right? So what I will ask you though, Mike, is if we were talking about the character, um, is it a concern that he was suspended first? Obviously, it's not a positive that he was suspended, but is it a positive that he came back and produced at that consistent of a level? I guess I should say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the dedication showed. He came back, which, um,
Didn't have to.
um, yeah, for sure. So I think it does show. And the suspension, obviously, it was a marijuana suspension. I'm not against it by no means. It's legal in our state, but I get it. If your job is dependent on just not doing it and you have the opportunities, just stay off it. So I guess there is question marks there, obviously, but I think for him coming back and just putting up numbers really in a very small sample size, but it's a very productive sample size to say the least.
Absolutely no. He had, according to PFF, so take this as you will, he had 31 pressures in his last 5 games, which that's not quite say Quiddy Pay numbers, but that's still really freaking good. And in terms of my just observations and grades for him, I do think that he is really freaking good. No surprise there. I think that his explosiveness and quickness is fantastic. I think that especially compared to the last two guys that we've just done, Osai and Patrick Jones, I think he's better at setting the edge and anchoring. He's only 245-ish pounds. I think he plays a lot bigger than that. I know that's something Mike was going to bring up here. Sorry for stealing your thunder, but no, I think that that's certainly something evident as soon as you turn on the film. In terms of his bend, I think he's solid. He's always doing something with his hands. It's not always the most effective, but I really like that he's not content being blocked in either regard against the pass or the run. I think his motor's solid. He's another guy though where I wish he had, after watching Osai's motor, I wish he had that pursuit and that sort of relentless abandon. But it's not quite there, but it still is really solid. And otherwise, I just think block recognition, finishing, tackling, size, athleticism. I think he's all just very, very solid, and that grades out to me in a very solid grade of 74.25. So, Mike, what are your thoughts, at least generally, on my grade of Mr. Perkins?
Yeah, for sure. If you watched and you did steal my thunder, he plays a lot bigger than he actually is. So size, I'd probably give him a little bit less, but like just in kind of the categories where you think that being a smaller guy, 240, would really show on film. It really did. I'm not gonna lie. Ability to set the edge, anchor. I think he actually did better than the last two that we've done, Patrick Jones and Osai. I think he did quite a bit better job. He played good at the containing and as a true 4-3 end, but his size wouldn't suggest that by no means. There's off ball linebackers bigger than him. But no, I agree with you. I think he's a solid player overall. I don't think anything really truly stuck out with him being elite at, but he was really solid at a lot of things. And a lot of these guys we've been looking at recently been very similar stories. I feel like we're kind of sound like a broken record, but yeah, I think that's the big difference. Is he does play quite a bit bigger. Seems to be strong for his size.
And speaking of strong for his size, I guess I'll go into the pro day numbers because he did just have his pro day the other day. He had a 9.7 broad, a 4.7 140, and he did do 25 reps on the 225 bench. So I do think that's most certainly supported on film. But with that being said, kind of hopping into the big board, Perkins did surprise me. As you guys can see, his raw grade came out the exact same as Gregory Rousseau's. And in all honesty, if you were a team, you might dock him a point or two, depending on those interviews and however that thing went. But that's the same for everybody, right? Just going solely off film, though, I do think that he was a more refined prospect than a lot of the other guys that we've seen, but he's also a better, well-rounded prospect just in general, if that makes sense. So Mike, obviously, we know you're huge on Rashad Weaver. We know you liked Osai. Where are you just in terms of your big board with Ronnie Perkins on it?
Yeah, I got Weaver. Weaver, he's well above there where you currently have him graded. So it's more of the Phillips, Osai, Perkins. I think Osai Perkins, it's really close. I got a very close race there. It's a little bit, I think Osai offers a little bit more versatility, just kind of playmaking in general, being able to make plays at the second level, attacking gaps. I think he just shows a little bit more athleticism. But Perkins, just all around as a pass rusher, I think is definitely more just as a pure passer, I think he's better. I think he definitely is more polished. I think if that's your pure goal, if you're drafting someone just purely to get to the quarterback, I'm taking Perkins over Sai. But I think as a player grade and just offering a little bit more, I'm probably taking Sai over Perkins. But as a pure pass rusher or, in the run, if it's just more of a contain and, being an anchor, I think Perkins is better. But I think I like the athleticism that Osai and that motor Osai offers a little bit more, but different players for sure. So I think they're both a 1A, 1B.
Yeah, and when grades are that close, obviously it becomes more of a preference thing, no question. Especially when schematically, I think they do play pretty drastically different roles. As we talked about in Osai, he's more of that 3-4 outside linebacker, whereas I do think Perkins. He played 5 tech in college, hand in the dirt. Mike, you think he's going to do that in the NFL or no? What's kind of the verdict there? Because I sort of think he does, but what are your thoughts?
Again, his size doesn't suggest it, but he played really big and 25 reps at 225. That's nothing to joke about. So he has the strength. So I think he could do it. I think he probably has a little bit more, ability to put some muscle on that frame, probably 250, 255, which isn't a bad play weight. He played quick. He had a good first step, sometimes a little bit inconsistent, but for the most part, pretty nice. Good use of hands. So no, I think he could play 4-3. It's just when you first told me that he only weighed 245, really maybe playing weight, it just doesn't show on film.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Oklahoma guys and their weight. We talked about Ramondre Stevenson in our previous Oklahoma video where he dropped from 247 to 228 in like a month and a half. And now Perkins, he looks like he weighs 260 and he's only weighing 245. So no, with that being said though, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Obviously, this was our 10th edge rusher, which I think we're going to cap it at for now, but there are a bunch of guys still left. This is a pretty deep class, no question. I mean, there's Peyton Turner, Joe Tyron, Hamilcar, Jordan Sample, Quincy Roche. There's a lot of guys that could still be in that top 100 discussion. So for right now, we're going to move on to other positions. But if you guys do enjoy these videos and you are interested in any of those DNs, just drop it down in the comment section below. Leave a like, but most importantly, drop it down in the comments and we'll do our best to get to it. So with that being said, Mike, do you got anything else or are we out of here and done with DNs?
I think we mic'd up and we micing out. Deuces.
Peace, guys.